Good evening, everybody. This is Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee. We're here for a community discussion. Tonight we have two segments. And the first one will be with Catherine Taylor, who's with Age Friendly Rhode Island, new executive director as of January. And she's done some enormous work to make sure that we'll stay connected with our senior community during the COVID-19. And I'll have two guests that I marched with in the protest on Friday night. I kept my social distancing. I kept my mask on, but two gentlemen will be joining us that I met at a press conference that Rep. Williams had on Friday afternoon, and then I met with them for a few hours early on Friday afternoon, Thursday afternoon actually, of last week. So they're going to be our guests. We got to keep that the premise about making sure that we're doing everything we can for equality and justice and all the things that 10,000 people marched for on Friday night at the State House. So first, Ben, let's bring on Catherine Taylor, and I want to introduce her. And Catherine, welcome.
Thank you, Governor.
Yes, well, you're the new executive director, Age Friendly Rhode Island, as of January.
Yes.
And who knew what you were gonna be in for, right?
I sure didn't. None of us did. Right.
No.
There's not a single thing that I'm doing now that I envisioned I'd be doing, and everything that I was hired to do, we can't do right now.
Yes, so. We worked a great deal with Jody Shu, who your predecessor before you took the position, so Age Friendly Rhode Island is really trying really hard to make sure that our senior community is healthy and transitioning in every way possible as they transition into retirement and other areas. Make sure they're healthy and they're active, and tell us a little bit about Age Friendly Rhode Island from your perspective, Catherine, as the new director, and then I want to share the work that I saw on a group call that we had with Maureen Maigret and others as you showed us this website to keep our seniors very active. I want to tell you, when I saw that website, my mom lives with us, with Sue and I, and she has her own like apartment or almost like a condo attached to a house, and it's a little bit removed from our our internet, and so I went out and bought a little plug-in so we can get the internet on the side. Now we're going to spend a little time with my mom because I want to access this website. But before we talk about the website, talk about the Age Friendly Rhode Island, please.
Absolutely. So yes, I just started in January, as you mentioned, but I've been involved for the previous 2 years. I chaired the food and nutrition work group, so I work closely with Jody, and it's a great group. We are an initiative of Rhode Island College, and we are funded generously by the Tufts Health Plan Foundation. And we're a coalition. We're not a service provider of state and local government agencies, of insurers, of health providers, of social service providers, the senior centers, and businesses and individuals, and really anyone in this state who really wants to make our community truly welcoming to older adults. And so when I first took the job, this meant really getting people together and figuring out, how we can improve transportation, how we can improve dining, how we can improve open spaces, all the things we can't do right now. So when the pandemic started and we shut down in March, our funder, Tufts Health Plan Foundation, was incredibly generous. They said to all their grantees, look, we trust you. There's a need out there. Don't worry about what you promised you were going to do with your funding. Just go and figure out what people need and try to help. So we started assembling all of our coalition partners together to just talk about, what was happening. Certainly food was an urgent need for older adults right away. But very quickly, it seemed that really what we were needing to do as we were having all these Zoom meetings and learning all these new technology platforms is we had to really redefine what an age-friendly community is. As we're all going through this and we're all stuck at home. And since, here we are, we're both in our own houses doing this broadcast, our community is all virtual right now. And so we realize that the virtual community has to be truly welcoming to older adults, really to everybody. And so there are really 5 pillars to that. So really everybody, in order to participate fully with each other and get what they need, needs access to low-cost internet. We all need devices, laptops or tablets or iPhones or something to connect. We all need skills. We need people to teach us how to use all of this. I know I'm lucky to live in a house full of millennials, so I have this in-house tech support all the time, but most people don't have that. I certainly didn't learn how to do this by myself. And we need access to rewarding programming. The things that we would normally do all day out in the world, how can we do them from home? And then, of course, we need to be connected to other people. So that's our family and our friends, our colleagues, or if we don't have those people in our lives, then who can volunteer to talk to us? So those are the things that we were really realizing in our work group, and we were setting to work, pulling together projects with our coalition members in all those areas. But the one that we felt at Age Friendly Rhode Island that we could take on ourselves, as we listened to all the senior center directors and we were on calls with them all the time, just really not being able to do anything that they normally would do because it's all hands on deck, delivering food to people and checking in on people, and that was taking all of their time. So we thought we could step some virtual programming to take the place of our lives in normal times. We had a calendar function on our website, just very simple, that we would thought that maybe, I think prior to me, it was thought that people would put in their events and people would turn to that calendar as a place to know what was going on in it. Never really worked that way. So we thought, maybe we could use that calendar to simulate a bricks and mortar senior center where you walk in the front door. You and I have been to them plenty of times, right? And there's usually a whiteboard in the front with the schedule of the day's events, what classes, exercise classes, maybe there's a trip somewhere, maybe there's a presentation on a health issue or a local official is coming in to talk about something. And so, so people know they get there at 10 o'clock, from 10 to 3, there'll be all this stuff. So, we did that on our center. And Governor, the thing that I heard from so many people once we were all shut in, because we can all go find programming on the internet, we can all do that, but then you find it and you kind of do it, and that's nice. People really miss the experience of looking forward to things. So we want people to go on the right. I mean, and so we want people to go on the calendar and see, oh my goodness, next Wednesday there's this session with the URI Master Gardeners talking about pollinators. I want to make sure I don't miss that. So that's the experience that we're trying to create. And I will add too, I'm not sure that I said this when at your meeting before, we developed this in response to the crisis now. But it's really something that's going to be helpful to a lot of people going forward, even when this is all over, because there are always going to be times in our lives when, for whatever reason, we are just not able to participate in in-person, sessions. It may be something as simple as, you have a bad cold and you don't want to give it to people, so you're going to stay home. But guess what? You don't have to miss that class you wanted to go to. And I think there's a real opportunity for folks who live in group settings, in nursing homes and assisted livings, and who are really cut off from the world now, can't have visitors, can't join in group activities while we try to keep everybody safe, that there's an opportunity to come to the virtual senior center, the VCC we're calling it, and hopefully really engage.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at that in a second. And you come to Age Friendly Rhode Island. You work with the URI Ryan Institute, right, over the last couple of years prior to that, and very connected with a lot of the dementia-related issues.
Right.
So you're a really good fit to keep, to really advocating for that Age Friendly Rhode Island. And also, I know that you were very involved with the Alzheimer research, and our office has been involved in it as well. And I've just done a handoff to the health department with Nancy Sutton, and so that there's a lot of connective people that that you've been able to bring to this Age Friendly with your experience, and then your calendar reflects that, right? You have a number of different variations with a new TV show that was talked about, on our call. And so you have a number of different variations. So tell us who you've been partnering with to set up this site, and then hopefully Ben can kind of bring that up and actually take a walk through a little bit as we're walking through your virtual senior center.
Sure. Oh my goodness. You're right. It's the partnerships have been key to putting this on, because all of the programming is free, and everyone has just stepped up to donate or sponsor programming. We're doing some ourselves. Some going back and forth with some of the senior centers. They are able to use ours, or some are offering some to us. We have a daily. I'm worried I'm going to leave people out, but I'll share a few partners. We have a daily fitness class that Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island is sponsoring. We have oh gosh, we have a laughter yoga that with Larry O'Brien. That I want to know what your mother thinks about that one. Going to be fun. We early from CareLink is doing her mindfulness, and they're sending up a lot of other programming. Going forward, we'll be working with a lot of the professors at URI and Rhode Island College. What a resource we have there. We'll be, the College of Pharmacy at URI will have a lot of health programming. The cyber seniors are doing a lot of tech programming. The Master Gardeners, we're going to have a lot of, classes, if you want to, or even work with a student who we'll teach you some conversational Spanish over lunch. So just a ton of different things going on. And we can, let's go to the website, Ben.
As you do it, explain how people can connect in with you if they have some ideas that they want to contribute with you as well.
Sure, that's part of it. So first, just want to let everybody know what the website is. It's pretty easy, agefriendlyri.org. That's all you need to go. And here's the homepage. And right on the front, you don't even have to worry about where to go. You just right on the very top is visit Rhode Island's Virtual Community Center. And I'm very excited about the timing of your invitation, Governor, because we just made the big announcement just a little while ago. So we are totally live here.
Nice.
Yep, it's exciting. So you can first go to the welcome there. And just sort of scroll down, and we don't have to listen to it now because you've got me live, but there's just a little,
there you are.
There I am, just welcoming people to the site. So, if folks want to hear from me again, they can. And you asked how people can get in touch with us. All over our center, we have calendar feedback form where you can just share with us your thoughts. So let us know if there's something that you want to see that you don't see. There's another one, so you can't escape it.
Yeah.
If there's programming that you'd like us to get on there, if there's something that you particularly like, tell us about that. If there's something that is too difficult to navigate or doesn't work quite right for you, we just want everybody's feedback. We've been live but quietly for a couple of weeks now, where people have been trying it out and giving us all kinds of feedback, and that's been really helpful. And a lot of people are getting in touch with us saying, hey, I have this session or I have this program I want to offer, and can I do it there? So it's been great. So we want to hear from people all the time. So if you go back, Ben, to the Virtual Community Center tab, and you go down to tutorials.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can start to scroll down there. So we have, and we're going to be adding to this all the time, we have a number of tutorials for the things that, the platforms you're going to need to get kind of comfortable with as you hang out at our center. So Zoom is going to be a big one. If you go back up a little bit, Ben, right there, here, so if you want to get more familiar with Zoom, because a lot of our programming is going to be on Zoom. And I want to say too, people should not be intimidated about all this technology. We're all learning together. Most people are brand new to it. And in most cases, when you connect to a program, folks are going to be there to help you through it. There'll be a producer, just like Ben, just to make people feel comfortable. So don't worry about that. Yes, and then the next one down, we have a tour of the site, just as I'm giving you right now. So that takes about 7 or 8 minutes, and that's a pretty cool thing that we just got up there today. And then we'll continue to get more tutorials. You want to scroll down a little bit. We have how to sign up for Facebook. how to create a Gmail account. And again, suggestions for things that you want to learn, send them to us. And we've got the cyber seniors at URI creating this content for us, which is great.
Yeah,
and there again,
Catherine, people have shied away from, but now you're providing this and the urgency of, connecting in with our seniors, brings us to a point where people are going to start getting accustomed to that. I would say anybody that's watching is tonight live or going to come in and watch this afterwards. If first of all, if you are a senior, you should be contacting Catherine or our office, and we can make the connection as well at 222-2371. But also, if you happen to be that son or daughter that has a senior in your family, you want to make sure that as I'm going to try to do is with my mom, is bring this to her, and I'll bring my kids so that we can have a little expertise in this world with us. But we're going to be able to connect our whole family, and my mom is isolated, as you can imagine, at 92 right now. We don't want her to catch the virus. We're always saying, Catherine, make sure that we're taking care of her health, following the governor's lead and Dr. Scott's lead in terms of the health requirements. But this is a way that you can actually have a healthy interaction with the aging community in Rhode Island. But continue. I just want to kind of inject that in.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to say something too that I often do, because we often talk about our parents, but it's really this is for everybody over the age of 60. This is for you and me. Yes. And there's a lot of fun stuff on here. And this is, for people, who are older and maybe have, a whole different set of tastes, being a generation older. This is for people of all abilities. This is, for people who used to, who normally, go running a few miles every day, and for people who are confined to a wheelchair. There'll be all kinds of stuff. I mean, for really every interest and every ability. So I just want to stress that this is really truly a community center, and there's going to be opportunities for intergenerational experiences too, and to get together. So Ben, let's go to the meat and potatoes. Let's go back up to the tab and go down to the calendar. Yeah, this is great. Okay, and you can scroll down there. So let's go to today. You'll see here, so every day is just jam-packed full of activities, a whole array of activities. And again, we wanted to do this so that people could look forward to things, but also so you can plan your day. Many of these events are live, but a lot of them aren't. And if the day goes past and it wasn't a live event, you can always go back to the previous day, the previous week, the previous month, and go, oh, I missed such and such a thing, so I'm going to go back and check it out. So, right, so then today we started at 10 o'clock this morning with the Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now, so if you hover over it, you learn a little bit more, and if you click on it, there you go. So you get, it's much bigger. I'm going to apologize to everybody right off. This is something that's bothered me from the beginning, but there's no way around it. The calendar, when you look at it that way, it's small and it's hard to read. But if you just open up any of the events, then it's much bigger, and you can learn everything about who's giving this fitness class and where's it come from. And then when you go to sort of I guess it's the organizer website, you just click on that and you'll be able to go right to the event. So let's get out of that and go back to the day. And I think if you go to the top of that too, there's not only just a calendar view, but if you go to the top of the calendar, and it says, month. Now, if you have a choice there, you can look at it by the month, but if that's too overwhelming, here, go back up to, yes, right there. You can look at it by list. Let's look at it by list. And there, so you can see the whole schedule for the day and figure out what you want to do.
Nice.
On Wednesdays, we have one of our most special events. If we go back up to, I guess for tomorrow. Yeah, if we go back to today, 1:30 on Wednesdays, we have Dance for All People with Rachel Balaban. And that is something, there you go. That is something for everybody, no matter your ability, whether you're, it was asked, she came on our age-friendly radio hour and was asked by our host, John Tassoni, asked her whether, any men did it. And actually, in her live sessions, she has more male participants than female. So really, people should consider doing this. It's just great. And that's every week. So if you go back to, let's click out of that and go back to the list so you can see other ways to view it. You can also look at it. Now it's so small, I can't look.
Well, you got the day, month,
Yeah, and the week.
year.
Yeah, great. And when it says find events, if you go there, you can actually search for types of events. So if you can search there, yeah, you can put in dance, or you can put in fitness, or put in, yeah, there you go. And so there, not only do you get Rachel, but you've got cardio dance, and you've got other sorts of related things. So if all you want to do on the site is exercise, then you can type in fitness and you'll get everything. If all you want to do is games, type that in, see what comes up. And there you go. So we've got CareLink's Room with a View TV program there. So I should say also, we are, there's all kinds of different platforms. So we've got this TV show and we've got some others. So we'll tell you how to get onto that. We've got some stuff through the Mather Institute that's just over the telephone. So if you don't have access to the internet, but your family member does, they can call you and tell you how you call into the telephonic thing. So really there's something for everybody. I mentioned laughter yoga. That's on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 o'clock. And that's a very special offering that we have too. That's just being done just for us. But we're also linking folks to how to start your own card group online. There's a website that we found. We're taking people on trips, through the Louvre Museum. We're doing screenings of movies. And not only do we have the tutorials, but if you really just want to talk to a person, on Tuesdays and Fridays, I think it's at 9 or 9:30, we have Tech Time with Libby. That's one of our URI cyber seniors. And you can just sign into the Zoom with your questions and just say, hey, I don't know how to reboot my, my computer, or Zoom confuses me, or somebody told me that Netflix, you can watch movies with other people. How do I do that? And you'll find out, and you can sort of help other people out. But it's a great place just to be with other people. There are a lot of just really good social opportunities.
So, Catherine, I know that one of the things that my mom enjoys, and I don't know whether actually there's the ability to do it or not, but you mentioned like card games. Is there a way that, with Bridge and is there other platforms out there that would allow the organizing of that type of activity?
Yes, there is. And that's what then we've actually had so much fun trying to imagine, okay, what would I miss? What would other people miss? And go out there and try to find it. There's a website called Trickster Cards. So people can get on that whenever they want, but we've scheduled it a few times, and you can actually start playing any one of a number of card games, Bridge, Hearts, a bunch of them, with other live people online. But there's also a way where you can email your friends and just have your regular Bridge group that you've always had, but play online. So we're going to put up a lot of opportunities like that. And, again, if people think that sounds great, but they're intimidated by it, or can't figure out how to get on, send us a note and we'll set up a class and we'll teach people how to do it.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions right now that's watching it, you can type it in right there, and Ben will come on the screen and ask Catherine or any suggestions you might have. But that's great, Catherine. I was so impressed when I saw that on a phone call that Maureen Maygrid and I were organizing to make sure that we're bringing all the people that are really so involved with age-friendly Rhode Island and all the the connectors that have to do with working with our seniors in the state. And like you said, the senior centers, certainly as a mayor for 12 years, we interacted with our senior center, and it was a fabulous place. People look forward to going there. And so not having that for this length of time, you know more about it than I do, but I certainly hear everybody when they say that can be very lonely, right? That can have certain emotional stress and strain on individuals that were used to getting together and they're not able to right now.
Yeah, people are really hurting. They're really missing those connections that they used to have. And, there's also an opportunity here, I think, to show people who don't see themselves as a senior center that that's for, those old people. All the
Yeah.
rich offerings that you do find there that you would normally get free computer lessons, and you normally would get yoga, and you normally would get a presentation on how to do end of life planning. All of those things would happen. And you mentioned stress and strain. We're going to have some opportunities to, as I said, mindfulness, but other resources around behavioral health and anxiety. So that's there too. So people should come and explore and play around, and let us know what you're not finding, because we'll put it there.
Yes. Ben, you got something?
Yes. Hey everybody. So we have some questions. Sorry, say that again.
Yo, thank you for being here, Ben. We need you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, you can hear me. I got to get that headset that Catherine has, though. It sounds like she can be heard better than me, but that's okay. I got
All right.
a headset.
Catherine, what programs for connecting with people in nursing homes do we have at present? Many of these folks are feeling very isolated during this time.
Yeah, it's really, really tough because people can't have visitors and they can't go into the activity rooms, and the staff is all just flat out. So it is tough. And, so folks who have telephones can, talk to their family, but most folks, don't have devices. So there is a program that Age Friendly Rhode Island was, helped out in putting together, that Maureen Maigret spearheaded, called Project Hello with the state, where you can get assigned a vetted volunteer who will just call you up, friendly phone call, 2 or 3 times a week. So people can call the point at 462-4444 to say they're interested in Project Hello and get assigned to a volunteer. That's one. And then our colleagues at, there's the point, thank you for that. And then our colleagues at CareLink have developed a television show called Room with a View. That is every weekday at 2:00 and on Sundays at 8 and 9. I'm sorry I don't have the top of my head what the TV station is, but we have it every day on our website, and so folks can turn on their TV, and that's an interactive show, not literally interactive, but you're asked like memories and given some trivia questions to answer, and then there's space for you to answer as if you were with a real person. And then, what we're really hoping can happen, and we're putting the call out to our nursing homes, if they have the space and they can do it safely, because I know that this is being done at one assisted living that's open. If they can maintain social distance in an activity room and can bring a few people who don't have internet there and hook up a computer to the television, then they can access the virtual community center programming there together. So those are some ideas that I have.
That's awesome. We have two more questions. How can we bring technology to the elderly homeless or those who are living at or below the poverty level?
Oh, you are singing my tune. Right. How can we get
On for that question?
What? I'm sorry. What did you say?
That was David Swan. That David is a friend of ours. Put that question in, and you're ready to answer it, right, Catherine?
Yeah. So access to technology for people who don't have it for whatever reason, and usually, yes, its income is a barrier, is a big deal, and that's both the internet and devices. For people who have devices already, if they have a smartphone, and many low income people do, the governor had put free hotspots in place for school children so they could complete the school year. And those are available, I think, until the end of June. So it's possible to connect for free until then. In terms of devices, I'm not an expert on this. I do think that it's that Verizon has, I can't remember the the Lifeline, I think, is the program to get a low-cost phone for like $10 a month. And we are working really hard with the Office of Healthy Aging, with a number of philanthropic and academic partners, and just to try to figure out how we can get devices donated, or the funds to buy them donated, so that we can get them in the hands of people who need them, because people do need them, especially now.
Yes, and one of the, I think it's coming. We were on a call today with Maureen, Catherine. They're starting to put guidelines on how we can visit into our nursing homes. And
Right.
that I couldn't get the date out of the person who gave the presentation, but at least they're starting to think that, because that's really wearing really, really, very hard on anybody who's in a congregate care or nursing home with those families. I was on a phone with a friend that lives in down Narragansett, and her brother who had brain injuries when he was young. They're separated right now, and it certainly is wearing on them. So I'm not sure, but maybe what you're talking about could connect them in a little bit until they figure that out.
Right. We're just trying to provide something to get people to, hang on until, I think it's when we get to phase 3, Governor, and I don't think Governor Raimondo knows when that's going to be yet. And it's still going to be tricky when we are allowed back in to visit the people that we love, because we're going to have to schedule it, and there's going to have to be, all kinds of personal protective equipment that we're going to have to wear. It still won't be normal. So I think the things that we can put in place virtually are going to be a necessary supplement for a good long time.
Well, you've done a great job there, and I wanted to share that with as many people as we can. Our office will be posting this as well, and try to get that communication and make sure that people who do contact our office will get you directly connected with Catherine and Age Friendly Rhode Island. And we know that our state is only as strong as our health is, and what you're doing is going to help many people in the state stay healthy during this time frame, and also be very active. We want all our populations, whether they're elderly or aging, we want them to be happy, and we want them to be healthy. And we know that helps in a broader way in terms of our economy, our healthcare costs, and those type of things. So there's a good economic reason to do it. But like my mom, who just turned 92 last weekend, we love having her around, and our kids, which I'm in that age group, as you said. But our sons and daughters want to see, Sue and I be as healthy as we can as well.
Right.
And we want that across the board in the state. So thank you for doing your work, Catherine.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I have to say one thing. I don't think it would be possible to do this in any other state. This is such a Rhode Island thing to be able to do, the way we can connect with everybody and get everybody to pull together and have, we're all in conversation all the time during this crisis. And so everyone's, stepping forward and pulling together. So we're lucky to be here.
Yeah, we are. And we're going to continue doing that. And thank you so much for taking the time tonight to share that with us and all the people who are watching this.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, Catherine, thank you. Okay, that's a really important site, and it's a remarkable effort over a short period of time by Age Friendly Rhode Island. Catherine Taylor, who's the executive director there, just in January, right? And then responding this way. Take advantage of it. And if you're interested in learning more about it, or you have questions about how to access Age Friendly Rhode Island in a way that for yourself, or for your mom or your dad or your uncle or your sister, give us a call, 222-2371, and we'll help make that happen. Well, the next section is a little bit of a shift, but it certainly is a front and center issue. If we could bring our two gentlemen on, that would be good. Both of these young men I met just last week. And there's Dimitri, there you go. And there's Nyru.
Hey,
thank you both for being here. Let me just introduce you a little bit. Appreciate that you're here. I got to say hello to both of you at a press conference last week, just before the protest march that you guys were involved with, and certainly knew the leadership and provided leadership on that march. I kept my distance, but I was there, and because I wanted to hear what was being said. So I kept my mask on, and Nyru came up and said hello, and Dimitri as well, leading up to that. But I wanted to just introduce you a little bit so that the people watching this know that there's members of the Black community that are, really interested in figuring out how to make the state good, or a great place to live and grow up in and go to school in. So,
Definitely.
Dimitri, just give a bit of your background, your high school, your college, just so people
Definitely.
can, and then I'll have Nyru do the same thing. And then I want a good conversation like we did on the lawn at the State House, last week.
All right, definitely. So my name is Dimitri. I grew up, born and raised Providence, Rhode Island. I've been here my whole life. My parents are both Jamaican, so they come from Jamaica. Um, I grew up in inner city Providence around Broad Street my whole life. I went to high school at LaSalle Academy, so I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to be there and participate in education over there. When I graduated, I had went to the University of Rhode Island, where I studied film and media for 4 years. So I've been a Rhode Island native my whole life, born and raised, been all around the city. And currently right now I work in the film industry. So I work on a lot of music and, stuff in the local and, national film world. And that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, and that's a career path you're taking, going through school, URI and a graduate and you see a future here in Rhode Island, and that's why I want people to hear that. This is about the importance of equality and making sure that the racial issues are addressed, and we want to talk about that before we leave today. But you also have roots here in Rhode Island, Dimitri, right? You're born here.
Definitely. I've been here my whole life, and growing up, I've seen this place change so much, from the infrastructure and roads to the buildings and businesses and properties. So I believe that this place can definitely be something great, which is why I chose to stay here. Especially in an industry like mine, it's very common to go to places like New York, California, places where media is very prevalent. But I do believe that this place has all the tools and opportunities to succeed. And I definitely think that Rhode Island is a place where change is definitely normalized, and we can definitely be, leaders in spearheading the change within our communities on a small and large scale.
Yeah, Dimitri, and I'll just finalize with you. I know that you played some sports, a little football, and you did very well there. And you played some basketball, and actually for an AAU team, Rhode Island Breakers. I coached some AAU basketball for several years. Traveled with a very core group of young people around the country. Went to Detroit. Went down to Chapel Hill. Played there in tournaments. That's an experience that you also bring to the table because you've been able to work as a team. You don't get anything done unless you do work as a team. And as you explained to me, you're very open to have a voice, and also being inclusive, right? In a way that kind of incorporates a number of the contacts that you've had and the experiences that you've had as not only as an athlete, but as a student and now as a professional in the film industry.
Definitely. And just to elaborate on that, and I definitely think that Nyru can cameo into this one. We definitely believe that change within communities is very normal. It's very doable. It's definitely something that can happen, and it's not impossible. There have been numerous stories of people collaborating from different demographics, from different worlds, coming together and creating a change that's powerful and that's meaningful. I think that us being the smallest state, a lot of people use that as an excuse. But I think in terms of situations and scenarios like that, we can use that to our advantage. I believe that your neighbor knows someone who works for a company that my cousin works at, or that my brother knows, or something like that. Everybody knows everybody in Rhode Island, and we're all connected in a way, especially, natives like myself, natives like Nyru, natives like yourself, Governor Dan, Lieutenant Governor. We've all been here our whole lives. We've spent our whole lives around here, and, all of our paths intertwined one way or another, So I definitely think that Rhode Island can be one of those places to push change. I definitely think that there are a lot of major issues out there and a lot of major things that need to be talked about, conversations that need to be had. Just a few hours ago, we were at the rally for defunding the police. There were a lot of great points over there that were made. There were a lot of great points that are out there that, aren't being talked about, but I think definitely we can collaborate together, we can talk and we can influence change to some degree.
Yeah, Dimitri, I agree with that, and we're going to get into a couple of those details. We've set aside a good amount of time tonight to have that discussion. Nyru, I wanted to I wanted to put up a picture.
Hey.
Put the picture up that one of Nyru's friends took of me at the State House with him as we were exchanging our cell phones. Put that up.
Yes, let's take a look at that.
Hey, that picture I'm going to blow up and put in my office. I wanted to share that with everybody. If we can kind of put that one up. There we are.
Nice.
Oh, right there.
Right.
Yes.
And Kenitha Brown.
Yes.
Yes, that's a friend of yours.
Yes, from Providence. Another local from Providence, also involved the AS220 scene. Great creative, very talented.
Yeah, well, I love that picture, and I'm gonna definitely blow that up, and I would love to meet Kenitha, and so that can maybe get a little autograph for on that picture. That's a keeper for me. We're exchanging our cell phones, and what I want to say this to people who are watching. I saw Nyru and Dimitri at that press conference. You know, things started not to necessarily get real volatile, but they started to get a little bit noisy. And I saw Nyru and both Dimitri as being leaders. And we need to recognize that when we see young leaders, we need to embrace them. We need to find a way to give them a voice so that they can speak and so that we can hear. But Nyru, I thought you did a great job, on that, calming things down. So I was able to exchange cell phone numbers. You were able to, we were able to connect later in that day and talk about the great opportunities that we would have. And I want to talk about those. But first, introduce yourself as a Rhode Islander that,
Yes.
And don't be ashamed. Don't be bashful. State record in the track area. Good quality of people out there. But yeah, give us a little overview,
Something like that.
Those other discussions.
But yeah, so first things first, hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for the time. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for giving us the platform to amplify our voices. I really do appreciate it. Born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm a Liberian American. My parents are born and raised in Liberia, the first generation. So we definitely came to America and grew up in America, realizing and appreciating a lot of the opportunities that are here and working actively to make sure that we achieve our goals. I grew up in private Catholic school my whole life. I attended LaSalle Academy, which is where Lieutenant Governor is talking about, where I had the opportunity to run track. I played football as well, but I won the state championship and broke the state record in the indoor 55-meter hurdles, 7.67 seconds. Just Rhode Island bred.
Nice.
This is what we do, LaSalle, Rams, go Rams. But attended the URI, had a scholarship for a little bit, did not finish, and then continued my works in my poetry and hip hop, also an entrepreneur. Had a video go viral where it had 3.3 million views, was published and had articles written in XXL, complex, pictures and planes. Moved to Hollywood, moved back to Rhode Island, teach music in schools through PASA, and also through a company called Astro, to the youth, anywhere from kindergarten to high school students, and just using my influence and my platform to kind of show and help the people that are in the same situations where I came from, sat in the same seats that I sat in, letting them know that there are opportunities and there are ways to overcome struggles and mental struggles that they see and face.
Yeah, well, both of you, thank you for being here. This is something that I believe that we need to keep the discussion alive and well, and we need to really bring parties together and listen and evaluate the ideas there, and so that as you're selecting the different policies, the different paths that we could go down, that is an inclusive discussion.
Yes.
And things that I wanted to make sure that we met on the lawn before the day before the protest event.
Yes.
And that was a good conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time to say hello and tell us what is on your mind. And there I am trying to keep my distance on the steps with looking unbelievable crowd. Right, there's my friends from the Haitian community.
Yes.
Baba, right, that we work a great deal with, and then there's a couple people there, Mark and Justice from the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yep.
All people that you interact with, and as I'm keeping my distance, but I did come up the back end of the march,
Yes.
so that you knew that I was with you, and in every shape and every way possible. So tell us a little bit about that experience, because I was with people who were you know, I believe are really good leaders. And as they were watching this with me, they were saying, this is history in the making. This is history.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about how that happened and your reaction to that, you know, to what happened that night on Friday night. Just give us a little bit of a sense. I mean, I bumped into you down at Kennedy Plaza,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
I was saying, keep it calm, and you guys did, and you were great. But I think that the statement that was made, but share with us your thinking on that night, Rule, that night. What was going through your mind? And Dimitri, I'd like to have you answer the same question in terms of whether you were there or you were observing, but what was going through your mind. Nyru, share with us, please.
So I think we can all agree that the anticipation was high, right? Even when we met and the feelings in the city, the tensions in the city were high. So we can almost agree that you can kind of cut the tension in the air with a knife, right? With a butter knife. It just felt like there was something leading up to something every second, every hour of the day. A lot of people were looking forward to it. Even in our conversation, we felt on your you felt on your end and on our end that things had the potential to escalate. You know, it seemed like in the air, a lot of people were afraid or not sure how things would play out. And we, during our meeting, wanted to reassure and reiterate that the goal and the desired outcome of the protest is peace and unity and love, and the message to get across that, we want change, we want that to happen. So there was a lot of angst, there was a lot of hype. There were a lot of people, like I said, anticipating things to go really well and anticipating the potential for things to go wrong. A lot of people meeting up, a lot of phone calls, a lot of preparation, making sure people are hydrated, have water, snacks, groups, planning buddy systems so people can move forward together. But then getting down there, leading up to the protest, it was remarkable. It was amazing. I saw power. I saw love. I saw unity. I did not only see Black people flooded, Black men, Black women, but I saw whites, Latinx people, Asian people, all different colors, all different shades. I saw Providence. I saw Rhode Island. So getting down there, it relieved all worries. Getting down there relieved all stress. Once I seen all the different kinds of people that were there for one cause, which was, to end police brutality, to end racial injustices, but also to set an example as the city of Providence and as the state of Rhode Island. We know that we have the opportunity and the platform to make change on our level and to set the example for the rest of the United States of America to see what we have to offer. Leading the march, walking up to the State House, there was so much solidarity, so much unity, chanting, back and forth, signs, people walking together. Same thing, I bumped into you, Lieutenant Governor, and just to reassure, how involved you were and how it's showing that we invited you out, but you also made a promise to come out and walk with the people. And you stood by that, and we saw that, and you demonstrated that. And that's part of what the people wanted to see. Walking to the State House, the show of force, we spoke about showing less force, but we also spoke about the uncertainty of knowing how everything was going to play out. So though people were a little intimidated, very intimidated by the show of force, by the National Guard force, by the police, state police, but we took the time to reassure the people that as long as it's peaceful, as long as everything is peaceful, and some officers took the time to show and reassure us that as long as we're peaceful, and they believe that we're there and we have the intentions to be peaceful, that everything will be fine. Everything will be fine.
And you did, and you provided that leadership. Dimitri, what are you in particular, Nyru and Dimitri, you provided that leadership with you and your friends, and it did carry over into multiple different types of communities. I've always said there's 39 citizen towns in Rhode Island. Every community is important, but the communities that make up the communities, they're important, equally as important. And that's the message that, I was trying to continue to portray, deliver that in this case, it's a simple answer. Yes or no. Do Black lives matter? Yes or no. And I want people to say, yes, Black lives matter. And the people who are like that officer in Minneapolis, he was saying, no, that Black life didn't matter to him. And and so we need to make sure we know where everybody stands and then build off that. Dimitri, give us a little bit of your thinking, as you saw that unfold on Friday, and what was your thinking as a Rhode Island resident, and as you've introduced yourself before, but what was going through your mind, and what was your feelings in your heart? What was happening there?
So, going into this meeting, me and Nyru, we talk a lot, and one of the points that Nyru really likes to focus on is, guiding the energy, seeing, what people want to do and just kind of like working with it so we all, stay on track for our one goal. When I got there a little bit early, just because I wanted to make sure that, people had masks, resources. I was, handing out masks, bottles of water, I had a backpack. I was passing things around to just, people. I didn't want anyone to get dehydrated. I didn't want anyone to get tired, especially people who wanted to be there for the long haul. So unfortunately, when I was heading downtown, everybody was heading up to the State House already. So I was a little bit late. I got lost in some conversation, but I saw everybody there. I saw faces. There was a lot of familiar faces from all different walks of life. I've seen people that I grew up with on the south side of Providence my whole life, mixed with another crowd over of people that I went to LaSalle with, to people who I went to URI with, all from different walks of life. And, when I was there, the main thing that I wanted to make sure was that, everybody got the point across that we're here for a change, a positive change in a positive direction. So throughout the day, everything was good. I didn't see anything. There was a bunch of people there. The National Guard was there, making sure everyone was staying on track and things like that. And, the whole day, to me, from what I saw, went by smooth. Everyone was there, with signs, proving points. Everyone was keeping distant, and everyone was there for one main reason. And that's to show that, Black people have been oppressed for a very long time, and that there needs to be a change, and the change needs to move in a positive direction. We had talked earlier, Lieutenant Governor, the night prior, and one thing that we were worried about was, what would happen after the curfew. After the curfew, what was going to happen? How were things handled? What's going to happen when that time comes? And I was there for a little bit, and everything, went just as it went earlier in the day. The energy was very consistent. The mode and the mood of people were very consistent. Yeah, everyone was worried. Everyone was worried. Everyone was high strung, kind of worried about what was going to happen. Where was this going to go? But I think from my perspective, from the time that I got there to the time that I left, from sun up to sundown, the energy was very consistent for me. People were all like, we need change. Change needs to happen. Black lives matter. People are appreciated. People need to be appreciated and respected in this world. Changes need to be made. And, one of the things that the Providence Journal reported the next day, which I was ecstatic about, was out of a crowd of 10,000 people, only 9 arrests were made, which is less than 1%. That's like 0.1%, which means that everybody that was there for one meaning. And that meaning was to just show that, like, we need to see some sort of change in some sort of direction.
Yeah, let's talk about the change, and I don't want to pin you or Nyru down and what that's going to look like. But because I've always found that as you're getting into important discussions like this, that it's important to be putting multiple ideas, out on the table for discussion, and then you try to whittle those down into areas that are the most significant. And then sometimes what happens is the early discussion isn't even the later discussion, but you got to make sure you have that. You got to continue the meetings and the effort and the work, because the speaker, when we were meeting at the State House, when I first met Nyru, he came over and he's interested in meeting with you, and I'm going to make sure that that opportunity happens with you and some of your friends. He wants to have a better understanding, as many of the leaders do. We certainly don't know what it's like to walk in your shoes. With the work that I've done over the years, I've seen too much of things that concern me, and the way that some of the kids that I coach, were treated, and the hurdles that they needed to jump. So I'm want to hear, and so give us. We still got another few more minutes, and I'm going to have you back because you both of you are really good leaders. But give us an early thought on the steps that you would like to see, or you're in the discussion right now. First, I'll go with Dimitri, and then I'll go to Nyru. And thanks, Steve. Thank you for recognizing the two gentlemen here. Dimitri, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Nyru, and then we'll consider this like the beginning of this conversation that we started at the State House lawn last week.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much again, Lieutenant Governor. I think that one of the main things that we would love to talk about is audits in the policing system. We think that when businesses are failing and when things aren't working, or when something happens in a system and there needs to be some sort of change. Audits are made all the time. I think that, reevaluating the people in our community, allowing us to see, who's around. One thing that Nyru had mentioned that Friday, Lieutenant Governor, when we were talking about was, having police officers go door to door, letting people be aware of who's in our community. If these people are here to help us and just ensure the safety of everybody around them, I think the best thing, or at least the first step, would be, a knock on the door. Like how people give their neighbors sugar when they move into the new neighborhoods. Having these police officers make themselves known, so we're aware of just who's around us, who's in the vicinity. I think that would be a great step. Again, like had you mentioned, we would love to, move forward and talk with the speaker. We would love for the speaker to hear our story, to hear where we're coming from. You know what I mean? Because one of the main things that Nyru mentions, and I'll definitely allow him to elaborate on it, is disconnect. There's a blatant disconnect within these two different worlds. And I believe that the first step that needs to be made is we just need to establish where each of us are coming from. If a police officer is in a neighborhood and he's scared, or he's never been there, or he's worried for his life, we want to know about that. Let's talk about that. Why do you feel that way? Is it because you're in an unknown area? Is it because, you don't really know who's around you? You know what I mean? Like, we're not here to incite violence, and police officers claim that they're not there to incite violence. So if that's the case, like, let's make mutual grounds known, let everybody be aware of who's around, because when you know those kind of things, that's the first step to change, in my opinion.
I agree with that, Dimitri, and I'm going to give Nyru the last word here, last couple minutes. But I found it amazing, quite frankly, as it was unfolding last week with the the destruction that happened on Monday, but the fact that the Saturday went well, and you were prior to that, there was a certain amount of apprehension to actually sit down and talk, and that's why I was so happy that you were willing to meet me late in the afternoon, and we didn't need a big crowd there, we didn't need media there. We just needed to talk, and I'm glad that you did. But I'd like to see more of that. There's nothing to fear about having these discussions and allowing the ideas to flow, and then come to some level of consensus of how you're going to improve things. Nyru, you're on mute right now, so take yourself off that, and then give us your overview a little bit about where we are, and what's the first step you would like to see to kind of start this discussion and bring the speaker in and other leaders in the state, police leaders as well.
So we understand that the people of Providence, especially American people, want to see change. They want to see change right now. They want to see it happen immediately, and how can it be implemented immediately? And we understand that there may be laws that have to be passed, and legislators and things that hoops that we have to go through to make things happen that fast. We understand the role that the speaker plays, which is why we want to demand a meeting with him, and we understand that he wants to have a meeting with us. A lot of what's going on is police brutality, reallocating the funds that they clearly are seeing the Providence Police has, and kind of reallocating it into education, into safety, into health, into ways that it could help people in the community. Schools, old books, new technology for students to help them learn, going into guidance counselors. Okay, what is Providence Police Department's protocol for psychological and mental evaluation of their officers, especially when they've done something wrong? Okay, we need to make sure that these people are being held accountable the best way possible. We don't hate all officers. We just want to make sure that the people feel like the change is being made immediately. Also, a protocol for officer-civilian relationships should be implemented. Kind of like what Dimitri was speaking about earlier, like just kind of feeling more comfortable with people in the neighborhood, with officers and the people, the relationship between officers and civilians, because there's a disconnect, like he was saying. People want to feel safe. They want to feel like they know who is around and who's in their neighborhoods. And we have people from other neighborhoods that may not have a clear understanding of the struggles and the things that these people are going through, patrolling and serving in these neighborhoods. And if they are going to, let's make sure that we develop relationships with them and ways to make sure that the people can also hold them accountable as well.
Yeah, so I think both of you being here tonight. One of the things that I've done on education when I was a mayor, that we had some issues in our education. The kids I coach, when I CCRI to actually play ball there, or I find out not to go to CCRI without remedial courses. So I took out a blank sheet of paper, and I brought very strong, smart people in. I said, here's your blank sheet of paper Tell me what public education would look like if you had no rules to follow and you could start it from scratch. You could do the same thing with the policing in the state. We shouldn't be afraid at all to take out that blank sheet of paper. And I'm really looking forward to working with both of you and the people that are surrounding yourself with, your friends from LaSalle, your friends from the
Yes.
bringing in,
Yes.
the young people. Let's keep this conversation going, and let's not be afraid to take out that
For sure.
and reinvent things from without any guidelines, without any handcuffs, without any rules, that kind of could cause a problem. Let's take out the blank sheet of paper and let's see what it looks like, and then let's work off of that and get some good people to figure it out. You both are really good leaders. I want you to make sure that you hear that from me as a state leader. And we want to make sure that we not only give you a chance to talk so that we can listen, but we want to make sure that you're heard. So let's make sure we stay connected. We'll be
Yes.
outreach. And thank you both for your leadership this past week and going forward. I know that you're going to make a major difference in our state of Rhode Island. Very much.
Lieutenant Governor Dan, thank you so much for your time. We both appreciate it. We'll definitely have another conversation in the future. We're all going to move forward together. And like you said, the change definitely starts with us, and we're going to keep on our end, and you're going to keep on your end, and there's definitely going to be a change for the future.
There you go. Nyru, thank you. Dimitri, thank you very much for being here. We'll be talking.
All right.
Yes. Let me just say, those are two really good young men, and they represent many young people in the state of Rhode Island that want to see our state be that place where we all want to live, and we want to be able to raise our families. We want to have our, really good education opportunities, good economic opportunities. And the third pillar that I've always said as a mayor, not only in the education, we want to have an economy that can support the families live in our communities, but we want to live in fiscally and safe communities. And that's what that discussion's about. So let's keep it going. I'll be back again on Tuesday, and then Wednesday night, I think we'll have a special show here to continue this particular conversation with some people who are really working very hard to reinvent policing and public safety around the country. And we're going to bring in some of the very best people to continue this talk and making sure we're including everybody in. If you have any questions or any ideas about what was talked tonight, whether it's age-friendly Rhode Island or what we talked about with Nyru and Dimitri, contact us 222-2371. Stay safe, and thank you so much for listening.